let me tell you about a $1,250 badass audiophile level hi-fi system. This hi-fi system should be judged on its sound and not on the low cost. It is really fantastic. This system can be your primary hi-fi system in your listening room, and it will get you to your HIFI HAPPY PLACE. Or it will make an absolutely kick-ass office hi-fi system. Simply kick-ass. This is the Elac Debut 3.0 DB63 BK plus the SMSL VMV A1 Class A amp and the WiiM Pro Plus streamer with an AKM DAC chip and free room correction software. This is the most cost-effective route to your HIFI HAPPY PLACE. Hi and welcome, I'm Hunter Gray and this is Hunter-Gray-LUV-Music. It's important to me that my music sounds beautiful when I play it. So that's why we're here talking about hi-fi gear, because your hi-fi gear and my hi-fi gear helps or hurts how the music that we love sounds. So slow down for a few minutes and enjoy while we have a chat about a hi-fi system for just $1,250 that will bring an audiophile joy and bliss from listening to their music. Before we take a look at the specs, I want to briefly address power amplifiers. Please tell me in the comments down below if your perception is different than mine, but my perception is that in today's world, the majority of hi-fi systems are powered by a Class D power amp, followed by Class AB power amps as a distant second most common, probably. And I think it's a relatively small minority of current hi-fi systems that have some type of Class A power amp in their signal chain. I'd love to hear from you down in the comments of what class of power amp you use and why. I raise this point because this system is built around this fantastic solid state Class A amp. And I just want to encourage you to have an open mind. Listen to the benefits as well as the realities that I will share with you of ownership of a Class A amp and the beautiful impact it has on the sound of your favorite music. What does Class A do to sound of your music? By adding harmonic distortion to the even harmonics, primarily the second and fourth harmonics, Class A amps like this SMSL VMV A1 add a specialness to the sound of instruments that you will notice. And I describe that specialness as adding some beauty to the sound of my music. Just as an example, listen to this system playing Teddy Swims, I Guess Some Things I'll Never Know, the vocals, the piano, the acoustic guitar, the haunting drum kit, the kick drum. Wow. If you A/B listen to this song on a Class A amplifier such as this versus on a Class D amp, the sound quality difference is something you will hear immediately. This is a song that I don't think anyone plays at dB peaks of 90 or 100 decibels. That's just not what a song like this is about. Do you think? In that same vein, there's quite a lot of music, in my opinion, that doesn't naturally lend itself to being played at those volume levels of 90 to 100 dB peaks. Same with music of, for instance, Miles Davis or most acoustic jazz, or classical music, or singer-songwriters also. Just saying. Now, typically, why do Class A amps sound the way that they do? Which, FYI, is beautiful. Even harmonics tend to add warmth and richness and a sense of fullness to the sound. Odd harmonics tend to add brightness, clarity, and a sense of aggression to sound. Class A amplifiers operate in a linear mode where the output transistors are always conducting, resulting in a more consistent and predictable harmonic distortion pattern. So for solid state Class A amps such as this, that means they tend to produce even order dominant harmonic distortion, meaning harmonic distortion in the second, fourth, and sixth harmonics. And this is lower order dominant, meaning there is more harmonic distortion created in the second, and then the fourth, and then the sixth harmonic respectively. And it's widely accepted that the second harmonic adds a sense of warmth and fullness and robustness and perception of a smooth, velvety texture to the music. And the fourth harmonics add a sense of richness and complexity to the sound and enhance the overall harmonic structure, making the sound more engaging. But to me, it simply sounds better and more beautiful. And this is simply an explanation of why that is the case. Now, let's talk about the realities of owning a Class A amp, because it is different than a Class D. Does Class A have limits to the sound pressure level volume you can drive your speakers to before you will start to hear noticeable distortion, which is primarily due to the lower damping factor typical from Class A amps, and it can start to lose control of the woofer, resulting in an audible distortion in the bass? Yes, this is true. In this three-piece system, in my testing in my living room, when I play dance tracks that I do like to crank up the volume on, for instance, Christina Aguilera's Dirty, at peak dB levels above 90 dBs, it didn't really lose control of the bass, but I started hearing distortion, and to me, it stopped sounding good above 90 dB peaks. Another example, Janet Jackson's All For You, another dance track. This has more bass, and I started to hear this amp start to lose control of the woofer. And on these Elac Debut 3.0 DB63s, at SPL volume, dB peaks of 87 dBs. Let me suggest again, as I frequently do in my videos, download one of the free decibel level meter apps and invest a little bit of time using it when you are enjoying a couple of your listening sessions and determine your own hard data on what the average and, more importantly, the peak dB levels when you are enjoying listening sessions. What is the dB peak level when your ears are happy and the music you are listening to you're really enjoying? I have done this, and for me, my ears stop being happy, typically right about dB peaks of 85 dBs. At that point, I've learned I start to have the urge to turn down the volume. And certainly by 87 dB peaks, I'm turning down the volume. That's just me, your mileage may vary. I really enjoy listening at average dB levels in the 70s. That's most typical for me. However, on high efficiency speakers, like Klipsch or my Zoo Audio Dirty Weekend 6, I often listen at average dBs in the 60s. There's something about high efficiency speakers that you get all of the clarity and the richness and all of the sound at lower volume levels. I don't know, that's just been my observation. Does a Class A amp make heat, and will it get hot? Yes. Thanks to temperatures being displayed on this SMSL VMV A1 amp, I can tell you that I like to turn on my amp and let it warm up for 2 or 3 minutes. When I first turn it on, it displays 21.3 Celsius. And in 2 to 3 minutes, when I start playing music, it displays 33.2 Celsius. After not playing music, just letting it warm up for a little bit. Playing for an hour or so, it will start to display somewhere between 47 degrees Celsius and 59 degrees Celsius. Now, Fahrenheit, that's a range of 117 degrees to 138 degrees Fahrenheit, but it displays in Celsius. It seems to me, I've noticed, it gets a little bit hotter when driving less efficient speakers. So in the range of 55 to 59 Celsius. So again, I'm just trying to completely disclose to you realities of making the leap to a Class A amp, because I think the quality of the sound is well worth it. Are those temperatures hot enough to burn you when you touch it? No. Is that hot enough to have an impact on the temperature in your room? Not at all in my experience. Does it mean you will want to turn it off and on manually and it doesn't have a standby mode? Yeah, so you got to turn it on, and when you're done, remember to turn it off. Will this be noticed in your electric bill? It hasn't been in my experience. Is this amp small and easy to live with every day? Yeah, take a look at it. It's not even half a rack. It fits in your system so easily in my experience. My suggestion is, if you don't currently have experience with a Class A amp in your hi-fi system, you should give it a listen. Let your own ears be the judge. My guess is you will notice how it sounds different, and I think you will prefer it. And if I'm wrong, you can just return it to Amazon and take a mulligan. No big deal, right? Give it a listen. Also, I will mention, and I said this before, but I use a simple AB switching box that is unpowered, so it doesn't impact the signal chain, and I can instantly switch back and forth between my rack. I have the Class A VMV, SMSL VMV A1, and right next to it, because it's a half rack size, the XTZ Edge A300, which is 300 watts per channel, Class D into 4 ohms. So plenty of clean neutral power. And with that switching box, and I'll put a link to that switching box that's available on Amazon, I can just switch like that between Class A and more power for Class D. But I end up listening 95% of the time or more to one of my Class A amps. And only occasionally the Class D for something that I really want to crank up beyond what the Class A's can really do cleanly and efficiently. I guess you can say for me, it's about quality over quantity when it comes to watts per channel. So appreciate your letting me share that point of view with you. So let's dig into this fantastic hi-fi system that I am recommending right here. $450 is the cost of the Elac Debut 3.0 DB63. $660 is the list price of the SMSL VMV A1 Class A amp. However, it's on sale at least 3 or 4 times a year for $580 to $595 in that range. And the WiiM Pro Plus streamer with the AKM DAC, with free room correction software, with a Bluetooth remote, list for $220, but I paid $175 on sale at Amazon. So because I bought both of these on sale, I paid less than $1,250 for this 3-piece system. Now, after I completed reviews individually of each of these 3 components, I began to think about how amazing they would be together in a really fantastic sounding system. Now, what initially I was thinking was that this would be fantastic as a second listening room system. That was my first use case thought, but as I really wanted to focus on listening to this and taking notes for this video, I decided to that it was clearly this system will be fine as a primary hi-fi system in your living room or wherever your primary listening situation is. And at $1,250, this simple 3-piece system has what it takes to be your primary listening hi-fi system. It's truly that good. Also, there is a clear upgrade path, so this system can grow with you over time. If it were me, my recommendation would be the first thing that I would upgrade is I would spend $650 on a Chord Mojo 2 DAC. And so then it would become a 4-piece system, and I would be using the WiiM as the streamer and the WiiM Home app, which I love, which is how I control the volume. And then feed that into, with the SPDIF cable, into the Chord Mojo, which I can really hear the difference when I add the Chord Mojo 2 in as a DAC. And that also is frequently on sale for under $600. In my opinion, upgrading these speakers will only be worth it if you jump up to the $2,000 to $3,000 price range for speakers. There are a lot of really good speakers in the $1,600 range, and that is definitely a sweet spot in the market. But in my opinion, for that price range is 3.5x the $450 cost on these Elac Debut 3.0. The sound improvement bumping up to $1,600, it's only an incremental improvement. Now I'm referring to speakers like my Kef LS50 Metas, Martin Logan XT B100, the Bucart P300s, etc. There are quite a few in this price range. But paying $1,150 more than these Elacs for what I think you will get maybe a 5% incremental improvement, it's your choice. But to me, it's not worth almost $1,200 more for just a 5% or so improvement. I would wait and save my money and jump up to my speaker upgrade path. I would suggest would be going to something like the Bucart S400 Mark II, which 2,100 euros, which is, depending on the exchange rate, about $2,300 US, or something like going up to the Klipsch Heresy Mark IV, which are $3,000. I really think, for me, if I'm going to spend more money on the speakers, I want to really be able to hear a significant difference. And I think you need to go to that level for your upgrade path to really make it worth what you will hear back. So that's my suggestion. And for me, the only upgrade path that I would go past this SMSL VMV A1 Class A amp, it competes with $4,000 and $5,000 Class A solid state amps. I would only move forward to a tube amp, and some people have issues, because tubes are a little bit different thing. If you're ready to cross that bridge to tubes, for sure, you can get a different sound and upgrade the sound quality. But if you're not going to go to tubes, I don't see a need to upgrade beyond this Class A amp. So, as I mentioned, that's my suggested upgrade path. So let's quickly recap the details and listening observations of these three components that make up the system. And I should mention, I've put links to my full reviews of each of these components down below in the description. Okay, before we look at the amp specs on the SMSL VMV A1, let me describe for you how the sound of the Elac speakers changed when played on this Class A amp versus my reference Class D amp, the XTZ Edge A300. As I was A/B switching between these two amps, the Class D and the SMSL VMV A1, it kept coming to my mind that the Elacs, when played on the Class D amp, sounded like a beautiful rose that was maybe 40 or 50% opened into bloom. And when I flipped over to the Class A amp, it simply sounded like the speakers that rose was in full bloom. The soundstage is more open and wide and noticeably is improved. The bass is more firm and has a fullness that you notice. The upper mids and the trebles seem more transparent. Since, in my opinion, the Elacs lean on the warm side of their tonality, I was a little concerned that the Class A would take that too far, but that wasn't the case at all. It did not have that effect. It was just, I love this pairing. It was beautiful. So now let's take a look at the specs. So I mentioned $660 list price, but you can find it on sale 3 or 4 times a year at least. 10 watts per channel into 8 ohms, 15 watts per channel into 4 ohms. The Elac Debut 3.0 DB63 are 6 ohms. This is a very compact but stout. It's 8 inches by 8.6 inches and just 1.5 inches high. So it's less than a rack size, but it weighs in at 4.4 pounds. It's stout. Point is, it's very compact, takes up very little space, and it's easy to run it and have both the Class D and this Class A amp in your rack. But this comes with little metal spikes that are terrible. We've probably all had metal spikes that are carpet spikes on high quality speakers. Basically the same thing, but on a rack, it's horrible. And then they give you these little round metal discs with a little indent that are a pain in the butt to get all 4 lined up to prevent it from scratching. It's like just a horrible system. So you can see I have replaced with these vibration isolating sound rise domes. And you can see they're just peel and stick. And I bought these on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description to them on Amazon. And just put those on and that pain in the butt problem is solved. So just want to point that out because those metal spikes are just terrible. So let's see. I mentioned there's a display on here that'll show you your volume and the temperature display on this. And I'm going to show you, this has 1 RCA input on the back, and the volume control is a 99-step volume control. I have mine set at 50 and it never changes from there. And then I just adjust the volume up and down with the WiiM home app. So, and I'll point out, you probably noticed here, it does not have a subwoofer out. And in my opinion, with these Elacs, that's fine. The bass extension on the Elacs does not require a subwoofer for music, so pairing this with the Elac works fantastic. Now, I want to point one bonus out. This amp has a 1/4-inch headphone jack on the back, and this beauty makes headphones just sound amazing. If you have a pair of Sennheiser HD 6XX, any of those iterations, you will love how they sound on this little Class A beauty. I also have a pair of Dan Clark Audio Aeon 2 Noir planar magnetic closebacks that are my hardest to drive headphones, and they sound amazing on this. So you don't buy this for the headphone amp, but it's an awesome bonus. See how much better those? Makes it great. So what does this SMSL VMV A1 Class A solid state amp sound like? Sounds amazing. Since the Elac Debut 3.0 DB63 are already a little bit warm overall, did this Class A amp take that too far? I wondered about this, and I was positively surprised. The answer is no. The combo is, it just sounds fantastic together. This little amp will add that Class A sweetness and beauty to the treble. for me, a good Class A amp adds something to the high notes that not only makes them smooth and velvety, but that can create an emotional connection or response in me from the music. And that I simply never experienced with a Class D or with a Class AB amp. And I get that emotional experience when I play my favorite music on these Elacs powered by the Class A SMSL VMV A1. In the mids, also, for example, on acoustic guitar strings, will emanate a resonance with a beauty to my ears that is missing usually when not played on a Class A amp. And the SMSL VMV A1 delivers beautifully. And just for $660, are you kidding me? For Class A, that is such a bargain. Punches way above its weight class. For example, on Fergie's Big Girls Don't Cry, the acoustic guitar played in this combo just sounds fantastic. How about the bass? This amp adds some firmness and fullness to the bass from the Elac Debut 3.0 DB63s. The Elacs already have really solid bass on their own, and this Class A amp just enhances this strength on the Debut 3.0 DB63s. For instance, on Billie Eilish's song Bad Guy, which is a favorite of mine, sounds great here. Bass is tight and fast and accurate. Impressive. The Elac Debut 3.0 DB63 at $450 a pair. Quick specs. They're two-way stand mount with a 1-inch aluminum dome tweeter and a 6.5-inch aramide fiber woofer. 6 ohms, as I mentioned before, 87 dB sensitivity. Stated frequency response of 42 hertz to 38,000 hertz. However, in my listening, the bass reach and extension, in spite of the specs from Elac, I can clearly hear a 35 hertz test tone, and I can slightly hear a rolled off 30 hertz tone. But it's weak enough that I'm going to characterize the bass extension on these speakers as down to 35 hertz. Which, for me, for music, means no sub is required. So again, this is a really beautiful pairing. I will say, if you have a lot of hip hop or dubstep or EDM or reggaeton in your library, maybe for you a sub is required. But for my music library, if I get bass extension down to 35 hertz, I'm okay without a sub. And on these Elac Debut 3.0, I never heard a need to add a sub. It's really only electronic synthesizers and church organs and the very end of the piano bass register that extends below 35 hertz. Interesting, I really like this. The crossover frequency between the tweeter and the woofer is at 2000 hertz, which is on the low side. And I really like that because that means the tweeter is handling more of the upper mids and taking that off of the shoulders of the woofer. So yeah, I like that lower crossover frequency. The Elac Debut 3.0 weigh in at 17.3 pounds. Physically, they're 13 inches high and 8 inches wide and are about a foot deep. Very well made with a solid build quality. On the front, there is a soft to the touch black satin, and there is a black ash on the sides with a wood grain texture that you can feel. I don't know what it's made of. I don't, at the cost, I don't, but they look living room ready. The black is going to go with just about any decor, and yeah, they're check the box, good enough looking. But how do they sound? Real quick, before we get into the sound, I'd just like to ask you for your support for this channel. If you enjoy my take on speakers, amps, DACs, streamers, headphones, and IEMs, then I'd like to ask you to subscribe to this channel and please hit the bell so you get notified when new videos come out. And if you like the video, it sure helps a lot with the YouTube algorithm if you hit the thumbs up button. Thank you very much. If you're able, please click on the Patreon link in the description below and support the channel by joining the Patreon community. And full disclosure, some but not all of the links in the description below are affiliate links. They do not cost you anything when you buy something, but this channel does get a commission, which makes a big difference for the channel. And the affiliate links are your no-cost way to show your support for the channel. And once again, I thank you for watching and for supporting the channel. So, as I was saying, how do these speakers sound? These Elac Debut 3.0 have a presentation of the detail retrieval that really keeps my attention. They keep me engaged in the music. These produce sound that competes with speakers 3.5x their price. I continue to be amazed by them. What about the soundstage? The soundstage is good, but not as impressive as the quality of the bass and the mids and the treble that I was hearing. But this amp improves the soundstage of the Elacs. I was able to easily get a very clear phantom center image with these speakers, and the setup and speaker positioning was easy and flexible. I even placed them for a while 6 inches from the back wall just to see if that was an issue, because these are rear ported and that was not a problem. So if space is limited for you, at least back to 6 inches from the wall, it sounded fine. Now, I do not like treble glare, like when your eyes wince when you step out into bright sun without your sunglasses on. I don't like it when treble makes me wince like that. On here, the highs are smooth and there is never any treble glare. It's important to me. On these Elac Debut 3.0, the treble retained the sweetness and the beautiful, even ethereal nature on the very soft high notes in Nelson Rangel's flute on his track I Loved You, which is a regular test track of mine. And I put a link to that track down below in the description. It's a beautiful song with simply a grand piano and Nelson Rangel playing the flute. And it really, the music emotes the emotion of I loved you in the past tense. And there are no words, no lyrics, but the music alone communicates to you the pain and the loss of a past love. It's an excellent song and excellent for testing both treble glare and testing emotional connection that you get from the music. So I was super surprised that this aluminum 1-inch tweeter could deliver that. I would have thought it sounds to me like a silk dome tweeter, but it's fantastic. In my listening, I felt that the bass and mids and the treble are all very big upside surprises for a $450 set of speakers, and that's why they compete with speakers 3x their price, 3.5x. I'm very comfortable labeling these as audiophile grade. Now, a question that I am always listening for when I evaluate speakers. On a pair of speakers that I'm listening to, does the piano in a track sound like a grand piano or like an upright piano? Always on the Elacs, it sounds like a grand piano. Beautiful, rich, full bass tonality and weight to the bass. The bass is very satisfying, very impressive on the Elacs. And again, the Class A SMSL VMV A1 even enhances that even more. And the instrument separation is excellent on these as well, which to me is really important. The instruments playing behind the vocalist or the instrument that is soloing. I want to be able to identify each of those instruments that are playing in the background, and the instrument separation on here is fantastic. As I mentioned, I'll put a link to my full review of all of these, the Elac, the SMSL VMV A1, and the WiiM Pro Plus in the description down below. Paired with the Class A SMSL VMV A1 All of the things that I liked about these Elacs is just enhanced and brought out the flavor even more. Just like adding just the right amount of salt to a really good steak. It just enhances and brings out the flavor that's already there. So, finally, the WiiM Pro Plus. Lists for $219, but it's on sale at Amazon several times a year for $175. I think it's worth the $70 extra to buy the Pro Plus to get the AKM DAC chip and the Bluetooth remote control. WiiM has the best technology in the hi-fi game when it comes to streamers, and as a result, I have 5 WiiM products in my home. I think that's the best endorsement, that I put my money where my recommendation is. Again, full review for the WiiM Pro Plus is in the description below. So together, this 3-piece hi-fi system sounds great. Each of these 3 components performs so far above their price point, it is shocking. And when combining them together into a single hi-fi system, they not only sound kick-ass together, they create simply amazing bargain in terms of price to performance. So this is my recommendation for a badass hi-fi system for only $1,250. Audiophile level sound, unmatched value for money. This system will shine as your primary system or as an amazing secondary hi-fi system in your home, maybe your office, maybe your bedroom. Now I want to say thank you for watching. My goal is to help you reach and enjoy your HIFI happy place. So please share your thoughts and your comments down below with me. And most definitely, please come back to this channel. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you again on the next video. Cheers.